space, that vast region beyond the surface of the Earth, continuous and indivisible, no barriers, no boundaries. Open corridor to invasion, if it were not for our nation's prime deterrent force, aerospace power. This new force for peace, combining ICBMs with Strategic Air Command's arsenal of manned aircraft, has enlarged the province of air power to encompass the total expanse above and beyond us. In advancing this concept, Vandenberg Air Force Base, California, has become the first aerospace operations center of the Air Force. A going concern, Vandenberg's multiple mission is dedicated to the training of crew members who will man all of Strategic Air Command's intercontinental ballistic missile sites across the country. The supervision and indoctrination of our allied RAF missile forces in the maintenance and operation of the intermediate range ballistic missile emplacements established in their homeland. At the same time, serving as an operational ICBM site capable of reacting immediately should this nation be attacked. And supporting both military and scientific polar orbiting satellite and space vehicle programs. In 1953, real interest was beginning to be shown in ballistic missiles. At Eniwetok, tests were continuing on perfecting the hydrogen bomb. If a small hydrogen warhead could be made practical, the missile that carried it could pack a wallop far greater than all modern-day weapons that had been used up to that date. It was the advent of the thermonuclear breakthrough that gave impetus to the missile development program. In August of 1954, the Air Force Ballistic Missile Division of the Air Research and Development Command was created. This special research and development organization was given full responsibility for developing the new ballistic weapon systems and achieving with them an initial operational capability. A study was made of possible locations for a ballistic weapons training and operational site. It wasn't until 200 potential areas were evaluated that the present site of Vandenberg Air Force Base was finally selected. For all intent and purpose, it was geographically ideal, sufficiently remote, safety-wise, from densely populated sections. It faced the broad, uninhabited Pacific missile range. Furthermore, the location offered a unique launch point for the more advanced aerospace systems that operate in a polar orbit. On January 1st, 1958, Headquarters, 1st Missile Division, and its subordinate units were transferred to the Strategic Air Command and placed under the command of Major General Wade. Training the first USAF crew to launch an intermediate-range ballistic missile was a joint military-industry venture. These men of the Air Force were being trained at the various factories and the technical specialties concerning the missile for which they had been selected. Trained for the individual roles they would perform in a missile crew. Missile men worked in the laboratories, on the lines, and on the test sites, along with the engineers, who themselves were still studying and experimenting with techniques of rocketry, guidance, and the like. After their extensive course of individual training, the missile men assembled at Vandenberg, where they would learn to work in teams and participate in the assembly of the bird, through the maintenance and fueling stages, and covering every phase of activity, including countdown of an actual launch. By the latter part of November 1958, Vandenberg was about ready for its first operational shoot. A Thor intermediate range missile and its transporter were checked out and delivered to the launch pad. Then, on December 16th, 1958, 2 weeks short of a year since SAC took over its first operational commitment, Vandenberg launched its first operational missile. on hand to observe were members of the Royal Air Force, to whom the missile would be assigned after they were sufficiently trained at Vandenberg to form the nucleus of our allies' IRBM emplacements in the United Kingdom. Even as this first short-range missile soared, much of the knowledge and experience gained from its concurrent research and development contributed greatly to the expansion of the long-range rocket capability. By the time the first Atlas arrived at Vandenberg, many of the earlier innovations had been adopted or modified, many of the complexities mastered. This transporter is approaching the MAB building, a shelter for the assembly and checkout of all Atlas missiles, where the major portion of the weapon checkout is performed by this fantastic piece of apparatus, the Automatic Programmed Checkout Equipment, or APCHE, an electric mechanical brain on the order of an electronic business machine. APCHE tests the operation of the missile's many systems and their related ground support equipment, and automatically evaluates all test results. Punched programming cards, such as these, are inserted and read by the APCHE reader, whereupon command signals are sent to the missile via the related checkout equipment, and given tests are accomplished. Each test performed is printed on a tape as a specific test is being performed. Not only does APCHE check out all missile systems and ground support equipment, it is also capable of immediate self-check, assuring before and after each missile test that the equipment itself is functioning properly. Upon completion of checkout, early on the morning of September 9th, 1959, the operations controller at the Combat Control Center, SAC Headquarters, Omaha, used the red phone for immediate contact with the officer in charge at Vandenberg. This was the long-awaited command to launch an Atlas missile. Immediately, the order was relayed to Launch Control Officer in the blockhouse. The lights on the standby status panel in a ready position, the Launch Control Officer directed launch operator to start the automatic sequence and countdown. Then, as the seconds ticked off, the atmosphere in the blockhouse became electrified as operators and technicians manned the consoles. Support crews performed their last-minute duties with clock-like precision. And then, Vandenberg had scored again, successfully launching its first intercontinental ballistic missile. Today, the division's 576th Strategic Missile Squadron maintains operational readiness with the Atlas ICBM, a powerful addition to the SAC alert force, manned by Vandenberg's early trainees and ready to launch should an attack come. 5 Thor pads with operational site facilities are maintained by the 392nd Missile Training Squadron. 2 additional pads in the Thor complex are being used exclusively in the southward launch of Discoverer orbiting vehicles, invaluable for preliminary testing of military applications in space. The Discoverer program is the springboard for follow-on programs like Midas, Samos, programs which will aid our defense position in the areas of detection and surveillance. The 395th Missile Training Squadron has been activated to assume the responsibility for training all SAC Titan weapon system crews. While the Titan has been undergoing tests at Canaveral, Florida, most of the personnel of the squadron are being contractor trained in their individual specialties at the launch site and in the factories. Still under development, the Minuteman, a 3-stage solid fuel propellant missile, has undergone tethered launches at Edwards Air Force Base. After the research and development flight test phases have been completed at Cape Canaveral, the program will be assigned to Vandenberg for crew training responsibilities. But many changes have taken place. Keeping apace with the times, Vandenberg has grown up. Here, on one piece of real estate, can be found the oldest and the newest in aerospace efforts. The first ICBM operational idea. Atlas missiles ready for firing from a permanent vertical position. Today these missiles can react immediately, but they are already obsolescent, for they are unprotected from both weather and enemy attack. Not far away, however, is a more advanced idea. Atlas missiles placed in a horizontal position, capable of being raised quickly to firing position and having environmental shelters. And even before this configuration is completed, still another concept is being constructed. Atlas missiles using a self-contained guidance system, which means they can be protected from enemy attack, hardened, as they say in the trade. And moving in conjunction with the ICBM Atlas, the Titan. But Titan has already bypassed Atlas in many areas. It is hard-based now, an underground complex that will house the missile as well as all the support equipment necessary to fire it. No doubt about it, many changes are taking place. We are advancing as rapidly as we can with all the available know-how at our command. But this is a step-by-step kind of progress. The new and exacting business of ballistic missiles and space vehicles is for the most part an uncharted field of exploration. Yet, what you have seen is but a small part of what's been accomplished in the short span of about 6 years. And looking to the future, many milestones of space progress will be focused here at Vandenberg, where the 1st Missile Division is diligently fulfilling its mission, conducting a training program for ballistic missile crews who will man the operational missile sites of both the Strategic Air Command and the United Kingdom, developing methods of measurement of the reliability and operational capability of missile weapon systems, refining the concepts and procedures that will ensure the best results from the use of these weapons, and supporting assigned satellite and space vehicle programs by the Air Research and Development Command and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, while maintaining at the same time a major element of SAC's 15-minute alert aerospace power. And let us not forget the members of that great team who, while operating continuously at frontiers of technical advance and close to the limits of human skill, dedicated to the concept of progress and transition, have helped to make Vandenberg the first aerospace Air Force base of the nation.